Alright, so I'm sitting here and I am resealing UltraHDMI main boards. I get them from Marshall, which is I assume how he gets them from China. And this time it's real easy. They have a really big bag, so all I have to do is reseal one side. I got my impulse sealer here, so this is going by pretty quick. So this is kind of my update video on a bunch of stuff that's been going on in my life. Like, I haven't done a YouTube video in what, 3 months now, and people are starting to ask why. So I thought I would finally get around to doing this video. But I will say, first off, as far as updates, UltraHDMI, I've only got the first 200 kits here. I don't know why. Once again, Marshall is not very good at communicating with me. Don't know why about that either. But I will probably start shipping these kits out as soon as I'm done resealing all of these, so within the next few days probably. I don't really see any reason to wait. I mean, the first 200 kits, the first people to buy the first 200 kits should not have to wait for the second 200 people. And you know, and it was all pretty much, it was 400 kits sold in 3 weeks. And believe me, I begged Marshall to let me sell 500. And I think he wouldn't let me, and I think his real reason was the amount of money they was sending to China for these kits. And I still don't really follow that, because it's not his money. You know, it's it's Joe Smith that bought this kit, and sent me the money, and I sent the money to Marshall. So still trying to talk to Marshall about all of that. Trying to get it to a point where we're not having to wait so long between pre-orders. I'm not sure how to go about doing that, but would like to find some way to make that happen to where we can just sell more kits. It's a huge, I won't really say burden, it's a huge frustration for me to have to kind of be a dick about this to people, because if you follow me on Twitter, I just posted an email I got the other day, which was just frustrating. People want this so bad that they read into my tweets and my updates stuff that's not there. They're like, "Oh, I see you have kits now. When can I get one?" I'm like, this has nothing to do with you. These kits are all been pre-ordered back in, was it late October, early November? These things are already sold. This was a pre-sale that happened months ago. And also, I don't like how long it took this time, and I think that's really on Marshall. Like, I gave him the money and he didn't get the order in for like 3 weeks after he had the money. I'm like, what took so long? And then the same thing when he got the kits. He sent me an email, said I'm getting ready to send the first half of the order, 200 kits, and I didn't get these kits until like 7 or 8 days after that email. I don't understand what the slowdown is here, and I'm starting to wonder if he isn't going through the same things that a lot of the other kit developers are going through. Like if you watch the Retro Roundtable, just last night, Renee made the announcement that he's trying to back away from, or has already, I guess, backed away from selling kits. He wants to focus on development. And I'm like, dude, that is exactly what I'm here for. I even typed in the chat, and I'm like, I would love to sell your products. But he's going to open source them so that anybody can. So, I've already emailed him, and we're already chatting about that, which that's another update. If you weren't there and didn't see me post and whatnot, that I will be pursuing a lot of the products that Renee used to sell, like the graphics booster. That's his #1 product. So I'm going to start pursuing that and figuring all that out. Where I was going with that. Oh yeah, I was saying maybe Marshall wanted to back away from doing the packing and shipping of stuff, and I can totally understand that. You know, I mean, I actually wrote up a text to send to people like Marshall and Renee about my services as game tech. You know, what I am focusing on. You know, I'm selling of kits. You know, and taking care of everything except for actually developing the product. That's what I'm trying to focus on. You know. So I don't know. Maybe Marshall's just kind of, I wouldn't say. Maybe he's just too busy, or maybe he's dug too much of a hole. You know, because this product is extremely popular. It's in an extreme demand right now, so maybe he's just getting inundated with emails and is just over it. I get it. I totally get it. Hi-Def NES was no different in the beginning. It was a madhouse of emails, and you know, and the more comfortable I got with the kit, doing installs and figuring out what kind of problems happen and such, you know, I could write the frequently asked questions, and I've got a troubleshooting guide and written installation guides, and I've got YouTube videos, and that all really helps with the email load, getting that down to manageable levels, which is, again, what I want to focus on, you know, with game tech. So, speaking of Hi-Def NES, there is some news there. I guess I could go ahead and start talking about it. Kevtris does have kits. He has another 500 kits at his house. But as you know, Kevtris is just stupidly busy with Analog now. The Super NT is out. Somebody asked me if I was going to do a teardown or review or whatever. I'm not. Super Nintendo's never been my thing. And people really latched onto this one a lot, so there's already a ton of review videos out there. And honestly, a teardown, I think somebody opened it, but I don't think a teardown is really going to give anybody any kind of insights. Like the hardware isn't really the genius of this thing. The genius is in the firmware. You know, what Kevin wrote for the hardware to run. So I don't plan on doing anything with the Super NT. I didn't even order one. I don't have one. I don't plan on getting one unless Kevin does jailbreak firmware for it, and I personally don't know. I was in the dark about the whole Analog thing forever. So Kevin definitely honored his NDA agreement with Analog. But I personally don't think that it'll happen. I mean, think about it. Why would you release jailbreak firmware for a $200 machine that A, might obsolete your $500 machine, the NT Mini, if he releases the cores for the Super NT, which the cores that he already has, I just don't think he will. Or I just really don't think that he will. Or I should say, I don't think that he should. But I think it would be a bad move for Analog to do that. And, you know, if selling actual hardware turns out to be a good thing for them, then why would they release cores for the Super NT when they can just spin up a new console? You know, a Sega Genesis and TG16 and whatever else Kevin thinks that he can make run on FPGA. Why wouldn't they make another console of it? You know, and if they have cores that run on the Super NT, then nobody's going to want to buy these new pieces of hardware. So my prediction is that it won't happen. At least, I should say, it won't happen until those other pieces of hardware are already on the market. That could be a thing. Like if they release the TG16 and Sega Genesis consoles, if they do them, and Kevin uses the exact same hardware or similar hardware, then he possibly could release cores that will work on the other ones, which, again, I don't know that that's, business-wise is a good idea for analog. I do believe that the jailbreak firmware for the NT Mini was what sold that console. I don't know if they would have had a quarter of the sales that they had for it if he hadn't done that. But yeah, anyway, back to the Hi-Def NES. He's so busy with analog that I think he's had the kits for like 3 weeks at this point, and he still only has 100 of the kits and main boards programmed and tested. I do all the testing of the interposers, and I do all the ESD bagging, and I still have not made it up there to grab those interposers, because I kept thinking, well, I'll wait until he's got at least 200 main boards done, because demand is kind of up right now, because we haven't sold any like 6 months or more. It might even be more than 6 months. I can't remember when the last one sold was. And I do get questions and tweets about it, but once again, it's I usually just redirect people back to the frequently asked questions page. Like I for the most part, I don't have answers, and I don't really want to start saying stuff that may or may not happen either. Until the kits were at Kevin's house, I wasn't going to say we had an order in, and then I started holding off on saying that he had them just because I didn't know when they were going to get programmed, because the Super NT is taking up so much of his time. But I will say I'm super happy for Kevin. He's doing what I wanted him and me to do, honestly. He got hooked up with Analog because they used the Hi-Def NES in the original NT. So they already had a huge head start on me. They already had, friends in China and all the production and marketing stuff. They already had that down. So I lost out there, but hopefully we'll keep the Hi-Def NES going at least. I don't know what the future holds for me and Ketris as far as me and him doing any more projects together. I'm hoping that we still do. He's got so many things that we could release, that would sell pretty good, that maybe Analog doesn't even want to touch. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? Kind of wanted to discuss a little bit about why it's been 3 months since I've done a YouTube video. Some of it is simply the monetary benefit of doing videos on YouTube just isn't improving, and that might be actually YouTube's fault a little bit. There was 1 month last year where I made almost $900 in 1 month. I couldn't believe it. I thought, I'm finally going to start making money on YouTube. And the next month I went back down to $200, which has been about average for me. I think last month was only $150, but I think it's going to continue to go down as I don't list videos. But that number also includes Jason Does DIY videos, which car repair videos get viewed and viewed and viewed if it's the right car. And I have some advertising on my website, which brings in $10, maybe $15 a month. it probably could be more if I really pushed the advertising, but I just didn't want to. I thought, if I'm going to have any, it's going to be, you know, a bar at the top and a bar at the bottom, and that's about it. Not that I wouldn't love some real advertisers. That'd be great. I don't know how to go about doing that, but so I was kind of disenchanted with YouTube after that. After, you know, and the only reason I made that money that month was because all of a sudden the install video for UltraHDMI kind of went viral, and I think it really only, I think it peaked at like 350,000 views, and it really hasn't gone up much since then. And then there was another video under that went to like 150 or 175. And for the life of me, I can't remember which video that is at the moment. But that's the only reason that I made that, whatever, it was almost $900 that month. It wasn't, and the video was 3 or 4 months old at that point. You know, and I think once again I went to Twitter and I was asking people, I'm like, did this video get linked somewhere big time? You know, because I didn't promote it, and I don't know what happened. And I've been told that YouTube just kind of randomly promotes any video that's seeing big views. So if your video starts getting big views, it's probably going to go exponential just because YouTube will promote that video. But yeah, the next month, you know, not seeing hardly any gains disenchanted me. And if you follow me on YouTube, you'll see that I talked about the basic attention token. It's a cryptocurrency. Think Bitcoin. And basic attention token is a way to pay people, kind of like Patreon. It's a lot like Patreon, except it's, you know, it's exchangeable for money. Patreon is more of a tip jar, and basic attention token, which I think is only really usable through the Brave browser. And the claim to fame for the Brave browser, I think they were part of the Mozilla team, but it was supposed to be really good for blocking ads. And I don't think that a few months ago when I was using it, I don't think they had quite mastered it yet. But I was trying to migrate away from Chrome, and this is another long story, but you know, I used to use Internet Explorer, you know, and as time goes on, your computer becomes less and less capable. You know, everything wants more memory, and Internet Explorer, I could sit there and watch it in the processes running tab, and it would just kept eating more and more RAM. And I wasn't even doing anything, you know what I mean? It would just eat, and eat. And eventually it would just make the computer crash. And this was probably at least 2 or 3 computers ago. This has been a couple years. And so I switched to Mozilla Firefox. Loved it. No, I think I tried Chrome, and it wasn't much better at that time. So I switched to Firefox, and I loved it because Firefox in the Processes tab would have like, you know, and me personally, I have like, I think at the moment I have 13 windows of a web of 13 windows of Chrome open right now, and some of those windows have 20 plus tabs open all the time. It's crazy. But like video game stuff, like I have like a bunch of tabs open of different projects that I'm following. You know, I'm trying to get a hold of or whatnot, just stuff I'm trying to follow. I have tons of Craigslist searches. They're mostly car stuff, not very much in the way of video games, just because there's never anything on there. But it's just, you know, how I keep organized. And you know, eventually that got to a point where it was too much RAM for my computer. And this definitely was the last computer that I was using. It got to be too much. So once again, I'm looking for something to migrate to that uses less RAM. Which you've seen, that water-cooled computer, that's my latest computer. And it's still only a 16 gig RAM computer. But I was about to switch away from Chrome when I found the Great Suspender plugin, which basically somehow shuts off a tab or whatever and reduces RAM usage. And you can set it to turn off tabs after so many minutes. There's a selection there, and you can make certain websites never turn off, which is just phenomenal. I love it. So I'm still on Chrome, but I did try Brave. But yeah, the one thing I don't like about Chrome is it still has, like, it seems like there's not a process for every tab, but there are way more processes than I have Windows open. And, you know, it still uses a lot of RAM, which... Oh, I know what it was. I got away from Firefox because it kept just completely crashing. You know, and it would like a window would just disappear, and then it would pop back up, you know, as a new window, and then all my windows would be out of order. And I'm kind of OCD like that. I like all my windows to be in the certain order. Like I even have my bookmarks organized, so I have Windows 1, and then all the tabs of that first window are there. That way, when they got out of order, I could just close them out and just start fresh and move on. But yeah, Firefox just kept getting so unstable, and I'm still using Windows 7. That might have been part of the reason. It might even been this computer when I switched back to Chrome. So anyway, basic attention token. What got me onto all the cryptocurrency? God, this had to have been like 4 months ago now, maybe 5 or 6 months ago. I had a customer who wanted to buy $900 worth of my goods. And he wanted to pay with Bitcoin. And I'd heard Bitcoin. I'd heard about Bitcoin probably in 2014, possibly 13. A buddy of mine brought it up, and he said, "Did you hear about all the people getting rich off Bitcoin?" And I was like, "No," because I don't watch the news or whatever, you know. And as soon as somebody tells me somebody got rich off something, then I just automatically assume that it's over and nobody's ever going to get rich off of it again. So I never investigated, and I kick myself for not doing that, because if I had invested back then, I probably would be a millionaire now. Because it was like, I don't know, Bitcoin right now, today, is at like $9,200 per coin. And back then, it was definitely sub 1,000, if not sub 200-300, you know. Man, it just kills me. But this guy wanted to buy some stuff with Bitcoin. So I found out that my payment processor Stripe accepted Bitcoin, because that's who I use for credit cards. So we set it up, and it worked great. And I went and looked, and my fee for $900 was $5. I couldn't believe it. I was floored. I'm like, this is amazing. I need to make everybody pay with Bitcoin. Because my PayPal or credit card fee would have been like something like $25 to $35 for that $900. And then it kind of went to shit, because he bought some more stuff, and I don't remember what the amount was the second time, but Stripe completely screwed it up. It never even started any kind of a transaction on my website, but the payment went through from this guy to Stripe. So we were immediately emailing Stripe and saying, we have proof that you got the money, but nothing happened. It wasn't showing up in my Stripe account, nor was it starting an order on my website. Which I set up like a private thing for him for that, and it totally screwed up. So that's when he told me to go check out Coinbase, which, if you know anything about cryptocurrency or whatever, Coinbase is like the place that newbies go to buy in to Bitcoin. Coinbase at the time only had 3: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. So I signed up for Coinbase, and Coinbase has an app that you can put on your website to accept cryptocurrency as well. And I've implemented it, but nobody's used it so far as I can tell. So I haven't tested it yet, so I would say don't use it yet. It should work. I have not had anybody even try. I need to set up like a private sale for somebody to use it and only charge them like $1 or something, and just to see if it goes through okay. That's something I need to do, because I can actually accept any cryptocurrency that I can exchange on Binance, Bittrex, and Coinbase/GDAX. But I want to say Bittrex was going to start accepting fiat money, which is what people call the U.S. dollar. Like any government type money is called fiat. Like that's what I've been doing the last 3 months. I have been trying to figure out all of this new terminology. All these words that mean something completely different in the cryptocurrency space. It's slash trading. There's a lot of these terms are holdovers from regular trading, stocks and whatever. And so that's like the major thing that I've been doing the last 3 months, honestly. Like, that's all I could do all day, every day, was just sit there and watch the charts. It's fascinating in the beginning. What else? Something else I'm getting into right now, which is kind of a side hobby, is I've been getting into old VHS and beta tapes, looking for old video game commercials. If you watch My Life in Gaming, you've seen the video they did, it's been a month or so ago, about the promo tapes, the video game promo VHS tapes. Very cool video. And then not long after that, I was on their Sunday night interview / playtime, and I don't know if it's during that or maybe after they stopped the stream that we were talking about it. I was like, hey, I got a couple of those tapes that you might be interested in, and it was the Errata Systems Secrets to Repair or something like that. And I think Corey started playing one of the tapes this last Sunday night when they had Kevdris on. I seen he was playing it. But I told him, I was like, I've got some other VHS stuff that I wouldn't mind having digitized if you don't mind, because I was doing a Mickwell screen modded Game Gear for him, which for upcoming videos. So he agreed to digitize some of my old VHS tapes in exchange for this, And so don't contact him and say, hey, I need a bunch of my home movies digitized, because that's not what this is about. If you've got some video game stuff, maybe contact them. But no, I think this was a special deal for me. So anyway, here a couple weeks ago, he did another video of video game commercials from 1994. And if you watch, Headbangers Ball is playing on the TV in the background. Guess where those tapes came from? Those are some of the tapes that I had sent him. I had no idea there was video game commercials on those. The furnace just kicked on. I'm about done anyway, so you'll just have to suffer. So I kind of got bit by that bug. I'm like, well, I'd like to find some old VHS tapes and some old commercials. I'm not necessarily have to be video game. Like, I'm into cars, so old car commercials, whatever. But it really needs to be like 80s and maybe early 90s before I'm really interested. If you've got anything like that, contact me. But yeah, I've started buying lots of VHS tapes that look promising. Like, you can almost tell if it says soaps, you're not going to find video game stuff on there. If it's like old John Wayne movies, westerns, they were probably recorded off of like Turner Classic Movies or old American movie classics, AMC and TMC. Those didn't have any commercials in them. And a lot of times what you'll find is people had machines that didn't even record the commercials, or they actually edited them out on purpose, which is going to be more true for like the 80s Betamax tapes. I contacted a guy, what was his name? I can't remember. He's on YouTube and has a ton of old Betamax stuff. I'm like, oh, this guy might actually have old commercials. Not a single commercial. He said everybody back in the day edited out the commercials to save space on the tapes, because the tapes didn't do more than 2 hours for a long time, and of course you wanted to record as much time as possible, so you wouldn't record the commercials. Now, that's just so sad. It's just for posterity reasons, it's sad that all of the content that might be gone, But I want to do this because everywhere I've looked, like I think Retro Junk, is it .net or whatever, they have a ton of video game commercials, but they're all really poor quality. So that's why I wanted to get into this a little bit, is to try to find these commercials and try to record them as best quality as possible. I have a HDMI capture device, the Elgato HD60, and I did actually find a VHS deck that was DVHS, SVHS, and regular VHS that had an upscaler and HDMI output on it. But that deck sold for over $600. It's a very rare deck. And then DVHS is digital VHS, which I didn't even know existed. It's a really rare format that didn't last very long. Mid-2000s, I think, or maybe early 2000s. Did not last long. And then I finally, in my head, I'm like, you know what? I don't really need the best, because most of these recordings are going to be pretty crap anyway. Even if I can only record them in composite S video, it's probably going to be okay. But I've got a couple Sony VX555 decks coming. It's a VHS/DVD recording machine, and it upscales and outputs via HDMI. So I think one of them, the DVD drive, doesn't even work, which is fine. As long as I can output VHS through the HDMI, which I know does work for these machines, then I can capture it. So hopefully I'll get going with that pretty soon and start putting out some shows with actual old video game commercials. That'd be great. So far, I have not found a single video game commercial other than I did find a CDI commercial, and I think it's already on YouTube, but mine might actually be better quality. And I can't remember, it's not one of the Phil Hartman ones, which would have been cool. It was more like they were in the Aeronautical Space Museum, something like that. I can't remember but it seemed like it might have been an older one because of the prices. They were talking about the included Compton's Encyclopedia disc being a $400 value or something like that. I'm like, what? So it might be like early 90s commercial, because the CDI was out pretty early in the 90s. But the other commercial that I found, and I haven't looked at the whole tape yet, but I found a Ford commercial from '88. And at first it was like, whatever, but then it showed the Turbo Coupe. It was the black '88 Turbo Coupe. I was like, yes, which I have one, which is why I'm excited about it. Because it's one of them cult classic cars, It's a turbo 4-cylinder, and mine's a 5-speed. And I love that car, So I'm really excited about that commercial. I'm hoping there's more stuff like that, especially on these tapes that I bought for way too much money. Crazy. So that's what's been holding me up. Other than just being very disenchanted with YouTube in general, just not being worth my time to do videos. Live streams. I did a bunch of live streams in October or November. I can't remember now. Live streams did not go well. Once they were uploaded to YouTube, not a lot of views. but they were fun to do. It's something I'm going to keep doing because it was a very good way for people to get a hold of me and ask me a question, and for me to quickly answer it. You know, the stuff I would not answer or acknowledge via email. I wouldn't. You know. So I will probably try to continue to do those, especially when I'm doing stuff like this, where I can do it and still talk and, you know, read a monitor. Probably won't do it during mod work times though ever again, because it slows down the mod work and it takes like 4 times as long to finish a mod. You know, and it's stuff that you've already seen anyway, or that I already have a polished video of. So it just doesn't seem worthwhile for me to live stream while doing mod work. But I'm not saying I'm never going to do it either, because if I'm doing something new, maybe I'll put it on there. You know, but I want like I did Atari Lynx on live stream. I'd like to do polished videos of those, but I kind of wanted to pull back a little bit on the videos as far as how many I ended up doing. Like Hi-Def NES and maybe even UltraHDMI, I've done a lot of videos, install videos. You know, and it's kind of like an evolution. Like, well, what I started doing is not what I do now as far as how I install it. You know, plus all the tips and tricks. Like maybe each video there's one new tip and trick. It's like, well, I'd like to figure out all of that stuff and only have 1 or 2 videos in the end. You know, instead of having, I don't even know how many Hi-Def NES install videos there are out there that I've done. Quite a few. So, what else? I'd like to talk about some of the stuff that's coming, but I don't want to say anything until it's actually solid. I've got so many projects in the pipeline, and it seems like it's been that way for, you know, 2 years. But, you know, the DB Electronics thing with Renee, that's very promising. I mean, if he's going to open source it, then there's almost no, and it's a finished product. There's going to be almost no hurdles for me to start selling those kits. That's great. But yeah, I've got lots of kits in the works, and they're not mine, and some that are. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add to this video. I just wanted to put one out there just to satiate people, you know, saying, kind of giving an update of where I've been, what I've been doing, a little bit about what's coming, you know. But everybody wants UltraHDMI and Hi-Def NES updates, so there you are. They're in there somewhere, and then a lot of cryptocurrency talk. So anyway, hope you liked the update. Leave questions and comments and down below. Give her a thumbs up. Give her a subscribe. I'm not dead, and I'm still doing videos. Honestly, like I've said, I've been busy with stuff, and I've just been disenchanted with YouTube, and I'm not quite to the point where I want to do a video about some of the projects that I'm actually working on. So that's just why I haven't uploaded anything. Just hasn't been a whole ton of reasons why to yet. So I do apologize for that. I should have been doing update videos this whole time, just because. But we'll try to keep this more often. Keep you guys updated more often, especially with new stuff. I was doing. I think I started at least a dozen repair videos, and I've not finished them. I think I've got at least a dozen of videos of something I started to repair, and I've not finished yet. That's another reason there's no videos, is because I haven't finished the actual project to put the video together and put it up. And the repair videos and stuff doesn't make money, really. So, you know, you don't want to see me modding an UltraHDMI or Hi-Def NES yet again. So, and it takes time to video everything, so I just do the mod and sell it, you know. Why do you want to watch that? Okay, done talking. Until next time, hope you enjoyed it.